Greetings, class. My name is Chandra Haymon, and we'll be discussing training and development, generational diversity in the workplace for my research project. At Amberton University, Fall 2019, Human Resource Management for Professor Sanchez. For the first time in the United States history, the workforce is diverse than ever. We have 5 generations working together at once, which has prompted professionals and scholars to debate how to lead a successful organization whose employees have different generational experiences, although each of these generations have similar values, beliefs, and attitudes. In all, it affects the way in which organizational leaders lead their employees. There's no doubt that there are real differences, misunderstandings, and other unfortunate tensions between and among employees that have been raised in different eras. As more generations join the workforce, it will continue to be a necessity for leaders to understand how to effectively lead these different generations. In this research, we will define the 5 generations and explain some of their thought processes. I once read that in order to understand a particular generation, you have to have knowledge on how they were raised. By learning the history of the era will assist in defining their values and beliefs. As I transitioned into HR, I had a chance to spend some time in our training and development department. I found this to be so interesting because our trainers are so valuable within our organization. I watched the transformation from regular applicants coming into an interview, being successful, and continuing to the next level, not knowing much about our clients that we serve, to 6 weeks later becoming a subject matter expert for our clients, being able to go out on the live floor and dominate. I was able to observe how our trainers were able to successfully engage and teach a multi-generational class. Our training is typically set up in a classroom setting for about 8 hours a day, up to 6 weeks. When it comes to keeping the attention span of an adult learner in the workplace, it can be challenging, especially with multi-generations. This researcher has observed the trainers use a number of different techniques, one of them being active learning, which gives the class a chance to interact by asking questions or participating in class discussions. We'll discuss some functionality and learn how to incorporate some new tips within our training courses, as well as focus on the limitations of this study. We'll look into some of the methods that have been researched and even discuss some recommendations. So, what are the current generations in the workplace? As I mentioned earlier, for the first time in history, there are 5 generations that are typically working side by side every day, each with different leadership, communication, career, learning, and development styles. The 5 are veterans, baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, and Generation Z. Our veterans were born between the years of 1922 through 1943. Their core values are dedication, hard work, respect for authority. They believe that if you work hard, you will be promoted. Their defining moments will be the Great Depression, the Second World War, Baby boomers, they were born between 1944 through 1960. Their core values are being optimistic, having personal gratification and growth. Their defining moments was JFK, the civil rights and women's movement. Generation X was born between 1961 through 1980. Their core values are diversity and informality. Defining moments will be the oil embargo and the embassy hostages. Generation Y, born between the years of 1981 through 1994. And their core values will be optimism, their civic duty, confidence, and achievements. Their defining moments will be terrorism and the Oklahoma City bombing. Generation Z, their birth years are between 1995 through 2015. Their core values are uniqueness, authenticity, creativity, and shareability. Their defining moments will be 9/11, social media, Apple, and technology. Seeing this mixture of qualities, leadership, and development styles can be seen as a huge challenge in the workplace. Or you may be thinking, how is it possible to accommodate such diverse perspectives? The key is there is strength in diversity. The goal is not to make everyone fit into one mode, but to effectively communicate any differences in a way that promotes creativity and innovation. Offering generational training and facilitating open discussions on how to leverage the unique skills and abilities of every generation can unlock hidden potential. Effective communication is essential for motivating multiple generations in the workplace. Here we have a chart of the leadership and generational differences. Our veterans, their preferred leadership style tends to be a more directive style that is simple and clear. Rationale for this style is what the veterans were men who were loyal to their organization. Within each organization, there was a clear, well defined hierarchy with very formal military like relationships. Authority was highly respected. Baby boomers prefer a collegial and consensual style, passionate and concerned about participation and spirit in the workplace. They espouse lots of communication, sharing of responsibility, and respect for each other's autonomy. Generation X. They tend to be fair, competent, and straightforward. They do not respect authority as did in the past generations. They like to be challenged and thrive on change. Brutal honesty is their trademark. Generation Y. They prefer a polite relationship with authority. Like leaders who pull people together, they believe in a collective action and will to get things changed. Generation Z. They prefer professional and personal freedom and creativity. They enjoy multitasking and being constantly connected. For example, social media. Functionality. How can we make this work? This researcher personally had the chance to be a part and observe the multi generational learning in the workplace. I've observed a training class of 15 multi generational students, and it was interesting how the trainer learned to engage her students. Whether it's through active learning or flipped classroom method, the trainer was able to keep the attention for over 8 hours. Why does age matter in the workplace? Age matters because although jobs are designed without reference to a worker's age, with increased age, some employees' characteristics do change. Thus, paying attention to age, whatever way it is operationalized, has relevance for designing jobs in person to fit or better accommodate older employees and in the development of more age friendly workplaces, according to McMullen and Marshall. Dope personality test. Once onboarded, we usually do a personality test that helps determine the mind frame of each employee. Each letter is an acronym for DOPE. The D is for dove, the peaceful dove. The dove is a people oriented person, loyal, friendly, hardworking, and a great team player, but tends to avoid any change, confrontation, risk taking, and assertiveness. The letter O stands for the wise owl. The owl is logical, mathematical, minded, methodical, and sometimes seen as a perfectionist. The owl can be slow to make decisions and inflexible if rules and logic say otherwise. Owls are not big risk takers, but love details. P stands for showy peacock. The peacock loves talking, being the center of attention, has passion, enthusiasm, and is happy, optimistic. Peacocks can be accused of talking too much and aren't good with details or time control. E is for the bold eagle. Eagles are dominant, stimulated by challenge, decisive, and direct. Eagles can be blunt, stubborn, can lose sight of the big picture, and can be insensitive as well. Eagles are natural achievers. This test is very crucial in our culture. It determines how you work and how people should react when approaching you. When it comes to keeping the attention span of adult learners in the workplace, it can be challenging, especially with multi generations. The DOPE test helps eliminate that challenge and acts as a barrier to break down any unwanted walls. Along with this personality test, I have observed the trainers use several different techniques. One of them have been active learning, which I've discussed a little bit earlier in the presentation, but this gives the class a chance to interact by asking questions or participating in class discussions. Being that I work for an IT company, I have observed a class being taught with technology, which really increases the learning in the class. Utilizing this method prepares the students for the future. This technique helps the older generation by teaching them the latest technology. Last technique I have observed was the flipped classroom technique. This gives students a chance to learn the material on their own with expectations to teach the class what they have learned. and how they were able to obtain this information. I believe this is beneficial for our younger generations. By giving the students a chance to teach their peers or audience and to participate and give a cross generational approach to a learning environment. It gives them the flexibility that most Generation X or Y employees enjoy. By implementing these tools, our generation's culture to be adaptable to any situation and to maintain our teachability mindset that we strive for in our organization. Methodology. This researcher has been with my current organization for over a year now. We've adopted the Each One Teach One method, where we demonstrate an exercise to an employee, and in order to make sure they fully grasp the concept, in return, we'll have them teach it back to the class what they've learned. This process has assisted us in the training department. We have about 5 training classes every month, with about 15 students average in each class. Our classes tend to run at a very fast pace since there's so much material to learn in such a short amount of time. Our classes typically have a lot of engagement. In order to keep the class focused and the training flowing, once the class has advanced to a certain level in training, we use another method called the flipped classroom, where the students learn an objective on their own and in turn they'll teach it back to the class. This helps gives the students another view of learning. It opens up the drawing board and helps students get a better understanding of the project or subject. Limitations to the study. One of the cons that may be faced is communication. According to Workforce Insight, 44% of the respondents in the same study said that they found it difficult to communicate with coworkers who are not from their age group. This is hardly surprising, considering the distinct differences in the preferred communication tools, style, and tone between the different generations. In addition, new and emerging communication channels, such as Twitter and Skype, have only made it more challenging for people to communicate and align with each other. The best way to approach these differences is to have an open and empathetic mindset. This means learning to accept opinions that are different from yours, having friendly debates, and evaluating issues objectively by looking at the facts and data. Avoid making any ill formed remarks or jumping into conclusions before hearing one another out. Instead, learn to communicate in the style and manner that the other person prefers. When working in a multi generational environment, it is critical to respect your coworkers no matter what. Recommendations. One of the benefits of having a multi generational workforce currently is the fact that it drives more innovative ideas and solutions. Younger people have greater exposure to digitalization and innovation and are therefore more open to embracing new technology and agile ways of working. Mature professionals, on the other hand, can share their knowledge and industry experience with the younger staff and help guide their ideas to achieve practical business objectives. By encouraging such open collaborations, teams are empowered to co create initiatives that combine past learnings with innovation for greater efficiency. Ronstead of 2019. Diversity promotes a healthy talent pipeline within the organization that taps into the wide range of knowledge, ideas, and unique strengths from each generation. Will have a distinct advantage of how a future ready workforce. In the long run, it helps companies reduce hiring costs and focuses more on talent development programs for more internal promotion opportunities. My name is Chandra Haymon, and my recommendation to you all is to adjust to your surroundings. The more adjusted you are, the more comfortable you'll feel. And this brings me to the end of my research project. Thank you so much for tuning in.